All right, welcome back. It's been a long time between drinks, but let's explain where we're at with everything and what we've got going on and why I haven't made any videos for over a month. So finally back on the YouTubes. Haven't been on any form of real social media for the last month, and the reason for that is I went on a family holiday over to the United States, Orlando, New York, Vegas and LA. It was a trip we had planned basically in April 2020, and yep, we all know what happened. So also living in the great state of Victoria, we couldn't actually go anywhere anyway. So finally got a chance to go on the family holiday, which was super, very relaxing. After that, got home and then went straight over to Perth for a few days for work. So only just got back now, this morning basically. So, and yeah, now I can finally get back into work out here in the garage on the weekend and yeah, get out racing this thing ASAP. So let's have a quick look around where both the project cars are at. Well, this one's not really a project car. I don't class it as a project car anymore. It's a, well, if it had an engine, it'd be a running race car, but we'll go over some of the updates for the RX4 as well, because I'm gonna have a couple of weeks off over Christmas and I really plan on smashing that car. So let's have a bit of a look at what I've done to the RX7, where it's at now. So last time out with the RX7, we obviously had our fuel cell issue, and fuel cell is down here and it's got multiple breathers on it now. It's got a different outlet where you can see the outlet directly feeds the pump in line. So hoping that solves that issue. While I was making that, I also pulled the engine out, of course, because it had a bit of an oopsie, and yeah, basically just tiny hurt the apex seals in one of the rotors. So the engine was still, you know, probably passable. Realistically with these apex seals too, if you can get the thing running and really beat on it hard, they actually come good again. But I just, you know, it's no need to rush in that, whatever, so I wanted to get it back perfect. So that is absolutely Mickey Mouse now. Rita actually gave it a proper birthday because it hadn't had new seals or anything in a long time. So I gave it new apex seals, corner seals, side seal, the works and that. So that's up and running better than ever. I was also waiting on parts. So got some new gaskets in. Also finally got the replacement lens in for the front of the RX7 that's been missing. A whole heap of other gaskets and stuff that are missing. So essentially, yeah, the engine is obviously ready to go in. Had no time to put it in. It was pretty much mostly built before I left, but I was waiting on parts and that. So the parts finally turned up and it's ready to go in now, so I'll get to work on that. So that's pretty much where the RX7's at. There's no other update other than the engine's not in the hole of where it's meant to be. So hopefully by the end of this weekend that'll be in. And yeah, that's that for the RX7. So next, let's take a look at the RX4. Right, so not that I've been neglecting the RX4, but I've been neglecting the RX4. So essentially, RX7, I was racing. We had, I think we had an issue, looked into it, racing, had the fuel cell stuff, and then fixed that, and then we just ran out of time basically. So the time that unfortunately I'd been spending on, you know, maintaining the RX7, which it was unexpected, ate into the time of fixing this. Now, also on this, I was waiting on parts. You can see there is I got a new grill, but one of the main ones I also got was, a water-to-air intercooler. So a lot of the ones on eBay that you can find were really small sort of cores. And then, yeah, this Chinese beauty, I found it, and it's got some pretty significant girth to it. So it definitely is a much, much larger core than any of those smaller little barrel ones you can buy, or those tiny little jet ski looking ones and that. So this is rated to 1200 horsepower. So even conservatively, if that's twice as much as it really is actually rated to, you know, around that 600 horsepower range, I only plan on making the 400-ish, you know, as is or whatever. So it'll be more than enough for what I need to do. In terms of other stuff, we've got a brake kit. So you can see here the brake kit, that's for the front brake. So that was off an RX3. So what I need to do is this little collar here, the little lip, I need to machine that so it'll fit on the stub axle properly for the RX4, and then it'll, you know, it'll slide on and bolt up and everything like that. So that's all good. I've got that sorted now, which means now I can get the wheels. I'm still chasing a diff for it. It's very hard to find a Hilux diff. As you can imagine, you know, there's, you know, early 80s, mid 80s Hiluxes aren't just everywhere and common these days. So it's actually hard to find a Hilux diff. So I've got to sort that out. And the next part, because I'm trying to accrue some parts for when I get stuck into this thing on Christmas, you don't want to leave, you know, getting parts at the last minute because parts availability is really hard at the moment, is I'll probably get the ECU for this thing. So in the next week or so. So Black Friday's coming up, and a lot of businesses you'll see have some pretty great sales, especially if they're looking to run out models. You know, if they've got, if it's a power tool company and they've got maybe an old drill, they might be discounting the drill heavily, or they might have a special deal on a drill kit or whatever, you know, what they essentially use as loss leaders to get you in on a platform. ECU manufacturers are no different. So as you know, I've talked about it before, because of the ZF transmission in this thing, there's only two choices for ECUs. One of them is the factory ECU, and one of them's a Haltech. And quite honestly, I'm more comfortable, and I'd prefer to use an aftermarket ECU because for what I want to do later on, upgrading stuff, if I change the transmission to say a 4L80E or something like that and has a trans brake and I'll go racing, and it's just easier to do stuff. And also the data logging is the main thing. I love data. So we're going to be running Haltech 2500T probably. Difference between a 2500 and 2500T is the active traction control, and about $2,000. You can buy a Holley or a Fueltech or whatever, and it's got that built into the software just as part as the ECU you buy. So, but if I want to go drag racing at some point in this, and like projects do, they get out of control, I want that active traction management software built into the ECU. So I know Nexus or whatever and that has it, but this whole car as it sits right here owes me under $10,000. That's the engine, the turbo, everything you see here owes me less than 10 grand at the moment. So spending 6.5 or whatever on just an ECU, it's not what this project's about. This project is about getting everything and anything I've got lying around and throwing it in and making it work. So the ECU and probably some fuel pumps maybe are almost the only things I actually need to buy for this car. So yeah, I'll be looking to buy the least amount of money that I can spend to do exactly what I want to do. So 2500T is it. I'll be buying it with my own money. Haltech don't owe me anything. You know, we're not sponsored or anything like that, but also for that reason, time is money. So I won't be spending a lot of time on the Haltech content. I'll probably show you the box and go, bought it, and next time you'll see it, it'll be running in the car. And don't think we're going to do a lot of videos on it like I normally do with all the stuff in the RX-7, because I've gotten great support for the products we've got on that car. And you'll normally see the products that are, you know, where suppliers have come to the party and really helped me out on the projects. For, you know, in the car like this, even too, you'll notice the ones that have helped me out, and I'm always going to give those guys a time of day and really, really push their products, because they're the products that I want to use on the car, and they've helped me purchase them with great discounts and that too. So I really appreciate that, and I show that appreciation through all of my content. But if I'm paying full whack for something, you'll probably know about it because you won't see much of it. So yeah, we'll get it all up and running. I really want to knock it out anyway over Christmas, so it's up and running and done. So yeah, you want to see lots of Haltech content, then there's plenty of people out there making that. And yeah, otherwise you can get a hold of the Haltech Mafia to petition Haltech to help me out with something. So otherwise, yeah, we'll keep on keeping on with the whole lot, and yeah, we'll see how it all goes. that's pretty much it for the RX4. Still a lot of welding to do, but I think now that the intercooler's here, we've got some Raceworks silicon hose, so I can plumb all that stuff up, and some Raceworks aluminium piping, so I can do all that. Here's my grade, I've got a giant big Raceworks reducer there, which will go on the bottom of that and shove it out to the other side, so that's great. And then I've got to work out how it sits with the Dominator Motorsports plenum there and what kind of angle I put it on, so that'll be fine. But overall, there's not a heap else to do in terms of other things. There's so much to do basically that I don't need to get too far ahead of myself. So, and yeah, I think that's it. So hopefully next video we're making will be RX-7 at the racetrack. So obviously this weekend, definitely not out there. Next weekend they'll probably start it and make sure everything's working all right and all that kind of stuff. So maybe the following weekend, I don't know when that is, first week of December might be, I think something like that. First weekend of December, I'll have to check the Heathcote schedule, but best part about Heathcote is they pretty much race every single weekend, sometimes twice over the weekends. So yeah, hopefully whatever that is, 3rd of December or something like that, we might be out at the racetrack with the RX-7, and hopefully we make it further than 30 foot. That would be ideal. So that's pretty much it for now. This garage is a complete shambles, to be honest, and there's stuff everywhere. So yeah, if you've got any inputs on everything we're doing or whatever, or recommendations on stuff, let me know. Again, the one thing I keep on seeing this whenever I've said run a Haltech, there's always people seem to have other opinions on what ECU should be running, but said time and time again, we're running the ZF transmission in this thing, and the Haltech's the only one that controls ZF, okay? And, you know, if I didn't have a ZF in it, probably wouldn't be running a Haltech, to be honest. But ZF is in it. Haltech done the R&D. Kudos to Haltech for doing it, because they've obviously got another customer who probably wouldn't be using their product if it wasn't for that. So they've done the hard yards, and yeah, that's why I'm using it. So don't recommend any other ECU other than the Haltech for this thing, because I have to run it basically. So all right, I think that's about enough for this thing. I will see you in a couple of weeks at the racetrack, hopefully. Thanks for watching. I'll see you then.